Imagine this tiny blue circle in front of you. That's $1 million. Next to it, stack something 10 times larger. That's $10 million. Now something even bigger, a massive block, almost too large to keep on screen. $100 million. And finally, the one that barely fits onto this page. $1 billion. Now, imagine this. Jeff Bezos' net worth is over 100 times that billion-dollar block. And then there's you, sitting somewhere with your phone in your hand, watching this video, unsure whether wealth is destiny, luck, or something forever out of reach. But today, we pull apart the illusion. You might have a job right now, or be in college hoping that a degree will eventually bring stability into your life. You might be juggling bills, stressing over rent, staring at credit card statements that make your stomach twist. Maybe you have a few $100s saved, maybe nothing at all. Maybe you're still trying to figure out what to do with your life. And somewhere deep inside, a voice whispers the same question almost everyone asks at least once. How do people become rich? Why does it feel like everyone else figured out a secret I don't know? You scroll past TikToks of people your age living in luxury apartments, driving cars you can't afford, taking vacations you didn't even know existed. You read stories about entrepreneurs who became millionaires at 19. You see billionaires double their wealth while you're worried about an electricity bill. And it confuses you. It angers you. It makes you feel like life is unfair, like the system is built for others, not you. A part of you believes that those rich people must have cheated or inherited everything or got lucky. And because you don't feel lucky, you start thinking maybe wealth just isn't meant for you. Maybe you're doomed to live a normal life, paycheck after paycheck, month after month, surviving but never actually living. And slowly, your dreams shrink. That house you imagined buying someday becomes, maybe one day. That car you always wanted becomes, maybe after I retire. The idea of paying off your parents' debts becomes, maybe if I win the lottery. Traveling the world becomes, maybe if things get better. Your dreams fade into the background like distant memories. And you convince yourself that's just how life is. But here's the truth you were never told. Most people feel exactly like you. Until something changes. Until something clicks. Because wealth isn't magic. Wealth isn't a lottery. Wealth isn't luck. Wealth follows patterns. It follows behavior. It follows mindset. It follows one simple principle that the world never bothered to explain to you. Money flows to people who solve problems. That's it. That's the entire hidden system. Every wealthy person in history, entrepreneurs, CEOs, innovators, creators, investors, they all got rich because they solved a problem someone was willing to pay for. They removed friction. They made someone's life easier. They offered value, and the world paid them. That's the equation for wealth. 1 million people don't need you to be a genius. They don't need you to be extraordinary. They just need you to help them solve something real. But here's why most people never do. Fear. Not lack of intelligence. Not lack of opportunity. Not lack of talent. Fear. Fear of failing. Fear of looking stupid. Fear of trying something new. Fear of discomfort, fear of change, fear of risk, fear of wasting time, fear of embarrassment. And because fear controls them, they never start. They stay trapped in jobs they don't like, degrees they don't care about, routines they never question. They trade time for money day after day, hoping that somehow, someday, life magically improves. But improvement doesn't happen by accident. Improvement happens through intention. Through effort, through experimentation, through failure. You don't rise by avoiding failure. You rise by facing it. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the pathway to success. Every person who built wealth did it through cycles of trying, failing, learning, adjusting, failing again, and eventually figuring it out. The difference between people who succeed and people who don't is simple. Successful people don't stop. They don't quit at the first inconvenience. They don't let fear keep them frozen. They fail, and they move forward. Now, let's talk about this idea of starting from nothing, because people love to say, I don't have money to start, or I don't have skills, or I don't know anyone, or I don't have support. The truth is, no one starts with everything. Many start with nothing. The difference is what they do with nothing. Right now, you're holding in your hand the most powerful tool in human history, a phone. A device with access to information, opportunities, tools, and audiences past generations could never dream of. You don't need a factory. You don't need investors. You don't need permission. You need curiosity, consistency, and the willingness to solve a problem, no matter how small, better than someone else. Every business, every job, every career is based on solving problems. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make. Solve a problem for a few people, you earn a few dollars. Solve it for thousands, you earn thousands. Solve it for millions, you become wealthy. That's the simple pattern money follows. And here's something most people overlook. Your job is also part of this equation. If you go to work and only do what you're told, you are replaceable. Someone can take your seat tomorrow, and the company won't skip a beat. But if you become the person who solves problems no one else noticed, the person who increases efficiency, the person who eliminates headaches for your team, the person who makes results happen, you gain leverage. Leverage leads to higher pay, promotions, opportunities. Even inside a job, the rule doesn't change. Solve more problems, earn more money. Now here's the brutal part. Most people will never succeed. Not because they are incapable, but because they don't persist. They want results immediately. They want progress without inconvenience. They want the reward without the struggle. They want wealth but refuse to endure boredom, rejection, setbacks, or slow months. Success feels too far away, so they settle for comfort. Meanwhile, the people who become wealthy spend years in the dark. Years failing quietly. Years testing ideas that go nowhere. Years learning skills no one pays attention to. Years building foundations that no one applauds. Every overnight success is just someone who kept going long enough for the world to finally notice. But here's the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, whose problem can I solve today? That single change in thinking flips your entire worldview. Once you start looking for problems, you start seeing opportunities everywhere. The more you solve, the more you earn. The more you earn, the more options you gain. And eventually, something clicks. Money has been chasing problem solvers since the beginning of time. So, where do you begin? Start small. Look around your daily life or your job. Identify one frustration you or others face. Think, how can I make this easier, faster, cheaper, better? Solve a tiny problem for someone. Then solve it again, and again, and again. At first, the results will seem small. But every skill you learn compounds. Every failure teaches you something. Every experiment brings you closer to something that works. Wealth is not a single breakthrough. Wealth is a series of tiny improvements stacked over years. If you are listening to this right now, understand that the very fact you made it to the end means you are not like most people. Most will click away. Most will scroll. Most will avoid confronting the hard truth. But not you. You stayed because something inside you wants more. Something in you refuses to accept a small version of your life. Something in you knows you are capable of more than what you've been told. You don't need luck. You don't need permission. You don't need someone to choose you. You need to begin solving problems, stacking skills, and thinking differently from the average person. Wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something that appears when you chase solutions. Money follows value. Value follows problem solved. And those who solve the most problems win the game. The world is full of people waiting for opportunity. Be the person who creates it. Stop chasing money. Start chasing solutions. Because money grows stale. Skills don't. And when you combine skills with consistency, when you combine consistency with problem solving, wealth eventually becomes unavoidable. If you watched this far, thank you. Videos like this take time, research, and effort. So if this changed your perspective even slightly, hit the like button. If you didn't like it, tap the dislike button twice. And if you want more documentary-style videos on wealth, business, mindset, and life, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Until then, keep learning, keep building, keep solving problems, and as always, salute.